I'm fully prepared with everything I need for the Jay-Z documentary. The moment he sent that legal letter, I knew I had to let the world see who he really is. He and Diddy are cut from the same cloth. He just hides his arrogance and control behind a cleaner image. Our feud has lasted 20 years, and I know better than anyone what he's done in the shadows. I even suspect that so-called funeral bouquet wasn't Diddy's idea at all, but Jay-Z acting on his behalf. Back when Nicki Minaj posted that video of him wearing a pink wig, all I did was repost it, and he got so nervous he had his lawyers threaten me. In 2015, Nicki worked her ass off helping him build his platform, and he allegedly pocketed her $7.9 million in royalties. And then there's his fingerprints all over key incidents through the years, whether it's the elevator footage or the guest list at Diddy's parties. He was involved, clearly, but somehow he always walks away untouched. That's what he's best at, pulling strings behind the scenes while pretending to be spotless in public. And now that a corner of the darkness has been ripped open, I'm not stopping. Everything my team and I are doing isn't about attacking anyone. It's about making sure the truth can't be buried by him ever again.
He ain't answering the phone?
He ain't answering the motherfucking phone.
Yeah, it's like this, like
We had a black billionaires lunch.
Black excellence. They're sitting there like, yeah. It's a billionaire brunch.
Oh,
Like,
I hate you, man.
And we here together and we gonna keep staying together. We getting tighter.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year. Yo, I feel like I'm normal again. Get me out of here.
Jay-Z is under increasing pressure after reports surfaced claiming that private communications between him and Diddy have allegedly been revealed, triggering a strong reaction across social media. This development has placed Jay-Z in an uncomfortable spotlight once again, bringing renewed attention to long-running speculation about his close relationship with Diddy and past associations that are now being examined more closely. As these supposed messages continue to circulate in public conversations, earlier allegations are being revisited. Public opinion appears to be shifting, and the situation is escalating quickly, creating a growing wave of controversy that could challenge Jay-Z's reputation, influence, and long-established legacy.
Sean Carter aided and abetted or was directly involved. It's about to get real tense, and there's a lot of girls and boys who are still trapped inside.
In past interviews, 50 Cent has been clear that he never chose to involve himself in Diddy's inner circle, explaining that certain invitations and the overall atmosphere raised immediate red flags and led him to pull back early on. He says that keeping that intentional distance is what allows him to speak openly today. When allegations later came to light, 50 Cent stated that he found out the same way the public did, through media reports. While he recognized how serious the claims were, he also emphasized that the information matched concerns he had noticed long ago, rather than catching him off guard.
Explained that Jay-Z is worse than Diddy. She explained how Jay-Z has done worse things than what Diddy did to Cassie to other females. And she said that she has the scars to prove it. She alleged that at one time Jay-Z attacked her and got it on film like Diddy did. And she alleged that this is why Jay-Z is totally pulling away from Diddy and you don't see him around. And it's been alleged for quite a while that Jay-Z is pulling away from Diddy because he doesn't want himself caught in the crossfire. I mean, you even have 50 Cent at this point talking about how Jay-Z is in hiding while this whole Diddy thing blows over. And you even have these accusations of Jay-Z being responsible for what happened to Cassie White. So I'm going to go ahead and roll you guys this clip of everything that Jag had to say about Jay-Z being worse than Diddy. And you guys let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Sean Carter is just as bad as the diddler. And I know that for a fact. I got the scars to prove it. You want to know what a box cutter feels like going into your skin and ripping you? I can tell you how it feels. Y'all ain't seen shit yet. That Cassie shit, that's nothing. I'm saying Sean Carter remembers everything he did to me and he's got it on tape. just like Diddy. And they're going to be crazy. It's going to be the women that get them in the end.
As the investigation expanded, focus gradually turned toward Jay-Z, with critics increasingly questioning his silence as the situation surrounding Diddy continued to intensify. That low profile only fueled further suspicion, leading some to speculate that his team may have sensed early on that his name could surface in civil conversations and acted quickly to control the narrative. Others cautioned that even without formal charges, damage to his reputation was already taking shape, as social media rapidly amplified unverified claims and speculation, transforming uncertainty into immediate and difficult consequences that spread fast and were hard to rein in.
Exactly what Jay-Z's accuser is saying, that even though she dropped the lawsuit, she still stands by what she says, and she only dropped it because of harassment and the fact that she's terrified of Jay-Z. She says that Jay-Z is allegedly bullying her into saying that her accusations were false. In fact, in new legal documents, she is claiming that she was recently approached outside of her home and cornered by two people who told her they were investigators working for one of Jay-Z's lawyers. She claims they tried to get her to sign an affidavit stating that her claims against Jay-Z were false, but she refused. Jane Doe also claims the alleged investigators asked her if her attorney, Tony Busby, sought her out as a client and offered her money to pursue false claims against Jay-Z, two allegations she says she denied. He says this alleged confrontation left her intimidated and terrified, wondering how they found her when her identity had remained anonymous in media reports and legal proceedings. He also claims that her parents were approached by two investigators asking similar questions about Busby and her R story. In the new documents, she reveals she decided to drop the claim because she was frightened by the reaction from Jay-Z and his supporters. She says she feared she would be publicly outed and subjected to
Industry insiders warned that a single criminal investigation could shake far more than just one individual, potentially extending risk to anyone perceived to be within his close orbit, which is why many see real importance in 50 Cent's documentary. Instead of focusing on one person, it seeks to examine how power operated behind closed doors, who may have known what was happening, and how accountability can spread once serious scrutiny begins. Analysts have also raised questions about how Diddy remained protected for so long, with some pointing to strategic relationships and strict control over public narratives as rumors quietly circulated. Heightening the tension, later reports suggested he may be cooperating with authorities to improve his position, a development that, according to unverified claims, could include sharing information about others in his circle, increasing discomfort and raising the stakes across the entire industry.
Did he start snitching?
He better. But the only thing I'm interested in him talking about is everything he knows about Kathy Coriana White. See, I know you know what happened to Corey. Diddy, I know that. You and Jay-Z down in Vegas at Tao with Claudia. Why don't you just talk about Kathy? That might help. That might help a lot. Kathy Coriana White, Jay-Z's pregnant mistress, who died 24 hours after she announced that she was going public with their relationship and the baby while he was married to Beyonce. Was it an aneurysm, Diddy? Or are you the one who paid the same coroner that you...
With the documentary now officially released, one thing is clear. This is not a story focused on the past. It is actively influencing what happens next. Each new disclosure sharpens attention on those who remained silent, and Jay-Z is being drawn further into that spotlight. The scrutiny matters because his connection with Diddy goes back decades, making claims of distance more difficult for critics to accept. That strain intensified when Gene Deal openly challenged remarks from Jay-Z's legal team that minimized their relationship, saying the portrayal did not match what many insiders had long observed. As more people come forward and timelines are closely examined, the pressure continues to build, turning once low-key associations into lingering questions that refuse to fade.
They was close enough that they wasn't playing basketball, they wasn't playing baseball, they wasn't playing football, and they wasn't playing hockey or soccer for Diddy to come on stage, pat him on his ass, and then make the statement to people in the world that can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z. Now, I don't know what kind of statement, and I can't say, I wish I could say half a homo, but I know I can't say it, but I don't know what kind of half a homo that is. And you trying to say that you're not close to somebody. You coming on stage, patting them on their ass, and then you making a broad statement to the public, can't nobody call me Sean but Sean Carter. And I heard Jay-Z said the same thing about them. But they were so close that they had matching white girls together. Because when they used to see each other, they used to say, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? He'd be like, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? So I guess that's a certain type of closeness.
I ain't know anything about that, man. I ain't know about, Jay touching his, ass. I got to go see the video. I ain't hear about that.
Come on, man. Everybody's seen that. 50 even pointed it out. Excuse me. When they was in ATL on stage. Remember when 50 bum rushed the stage with them?
Yeah, I think I recall that.
When Puff came on stage, first thing he did was pat Jay-Z on that. But I forgot. That's your favorite rapper.
Hey, him and Pac is 1A, 1B. But what's your issue with Jay, man? I didn't know you had an issue with him.
I'm never a fan of somebody that...
From Gene's point of view, the ease and familiarity between Jay-Z and Diddy said more than any statement ever could. He referenced a moment at an Atlanta concert where Diddy brought Jay-Z on stage, noting that the natural chemistry between them was obvious to fans. That footage later resurfaced after 50 Cent called attention to it, helping keep the clip in constant online circulation. When asked whether his comments were driven by any personal bitterness toward Jay-Z, Gene dismissed that idea, saying it had nothing to do with loyalty or bias. Instead, he pointed to a past confrontation that once held real tension, only for Jay-Z to later seem to brush it aside. Gene described this as a familiar pattern among people at the highest levels, those who pass through heated situations, spark conflict, and then move on unaffected, existing in a rarefied space far removed from everyday consequences.
These guys are, man, they'll cause situations and cause problems, and then they'll forget what they done because they on a whole nother atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit that he did, you got to understand, like now he'll say that they're kids because he's raising kids of his own. You understand? But how would you like it that if Blue Ivory, 15, 16 years old, 17, 18 years old, dating in his early 30s? You're not going to go for that. No matter what she came through in Hollywood. But you got to understand, guys who was around there, we didn't know Jay-Z them ages. We didn't know these cats' age. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't having no beards and nothing like that. They was wearing low cuts. You understand? Clean face. I would have never believed when Jay was coming around the block, scooping up the young girls and stuff like that he was 30 years old. If they 17, 18, 16 years old and they 22, you thinking they 22, 23, something like that, 24 years old? They mama and them need to check them. They daddy and them need to check them. But that's not that far off. But for somebody to be 30 years old in their 30s and they dealing with kids 16 years old, 17, 18 years, now that's a problem. That's an issue. And now he see that because he's raising kids. And he got a young daughter. I think he got another daughter that he didn't claim and now he claiming them. These cats was doing a whole lot of stuff that people in the industry won't speak on. And then now that you're speaking on it and it's becoming where is that you can get on YouTube and you could talk about this shit and say what you seen or say what you heard, you understand, or what you know. Some people look at it being a problem. But these cats ain't street cats. They entertainers.
Dame Dash, who was once Jay-Z's closest partner, recently spoke about the serious allegations now linked to him, saying that what struck him most was not only the accusations themselves but the intensity of the public reaction. Dame remarked that in all his years, he had never witnessed Jay-Z being examined at this level, as decades of power and influence had positioned him as someone largely beyond reach, particularly in mainstream media. He suggested that this perception is now changing, with that layer of protection beginning to crack and leaving Jay-Z exposed to a degree of public scrutiny rarely directed at figures of his stature, signaling a clear shift in how even the most powerful names are questioned when attention grows.
To see him in that, getting looked at in that way by white people, like Jay does, yeah, like I hope that shit didn't happen, but I'm like, damn, they turned the world real, like people on a certain level have been fucking with him a certain way where he couldn't do no wrong for like 25 years straight. This is the first time he's not getting a pass with white media, like he can control black media because a lot of them either work or do business with him, but like, ring champs can't get him out of this one, and neither can Charlemagne. Because, those are the guys that hold him down no matter what he does anyway. So you got to get to People Magazine and Entertainment Tonight right now because they on his head. But the question is why? Like, why now? Because for me, I'd be like, yo, that's so ridiculous. Yo, take that to trial. You're not going to win. Let's get a deposition or something, So I don't know why they on his head so much. Pause. But I never seen him, under this, I never seen him in this position to have to explain himself. Pause.
How you feel about the statement he came out with?
I mean, I didn't hear him say anything. I heard a piece of, like I said, I'm doing an interview, so I talk. I thought it was long. For a statement, I thought it was long, pause. But, I think right now, his silence is the worst thing for him. If he is innocent, he needs to let people ask him questions, and he needs to be able to say his side of the story.
What surprised Dame the most was seeing Jay-Z in a position he rarely occupies, guarded, reactive, and under constant pressure, a space he has only briefly experienced a few times throughout his career. For decades, Jay-Z operated without having to publicly explain himself, which makes the intensity of the current scrutiny stand out even more. At the same time, questions keep coming up about why 50 Cent seems so committed to challenging him, suggesting that the Diddy connection alone does not fully explain the tension. Tony Yayo added context, saying that friction between 50 and Jay-Z has existed for years, rooted in rivalry and unresolved issues around loyalty. Hip-hop has always been driven by competition, where egos clash and conflicts naturally surface, but growth and evolution are part of that path as well. Yo pointed to a recent show where 50, performed alongside Drive Dre and Cameron, also appeared, showing how past issues can sometimes be put aside. Cameron later commented that Jay-Z places business above culture, a view Yo supported by noting that Jay-Z is frequently seen at high-level corporate events while often missing hip-hop moments that matter deeply to artists like 50, reinforcing perceptions of imbalance and keeping questions about priorities and allegiance firmly in focus.
I don't think I would have said that he didn't know Puff at all or wasn't his friend. I thought that was a little extreme. I thought that was the wrong choice of words. I think that's going to trigger a lot of backlash. But the thing is, I never seen him get backlash at all. So that's what I'm saying. Now he getting backlash. Like, when did you know Jay-Z to be on his heels other than when he got beat up in the elevator? But that was nothing. But I've never seen him under the fire ever. Not in a long time. Not like, I've never seen people on his head like that, Paul. Ever.
Yeah, this might be my first time seeing people come at him like this.
Like I said, I didn't hear him say anything. Like, I'm not some white man speaking for another black man doesn't add up. It just doesn't work like that. Like, he doesn't know what to say on Jay's behalf. Jay would have to say that. So if he instructed him to say that, like, you don't even know if Jay told him to say that. He could have got off the stage and they was like, why'd you say that? He was like, I had to. You know, like, he probably said it because homeboy wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? Like, I didn't hear him say anything. I haven't heard Jay say a word yet. Have you?
Nah, I haven't heard him say anything.
There it is. So y'all going by a piece of paper with words, don't get caught up in that. I have not heard him say one thing yet. You know? Until I see him speak, he hasn't spoke to me. That's why I said I don't think he did not say that. His lawyer said it. So that what else is?
Yo highlighted a clear contrast in accessibility between Jay-Z and 50 Cent, explaining that while Jay-Z operates at the highest levels of power with noticeable distance, 50, despite being just as influential, remains visible, grounded, and loyal to the people who helped shape his rise. Yo stressed that true stature comes from remembering those roots rather than separating from them. He also recalled a moment that stuck with him involving the Super Bowl halftime show, where Jay-Z was said to have resisted including 50, and it ultimately took Eminem taking a firm stand, refusing to perform unless 50 was added, to change the decision. To Yo, that situation went far beyond strategy or optics, carrying a personal edge that reflected long-standing tension and an unspoken rivalry embedded in their complicated
history. There's one part
history.
where 50 was talking, and he was saying, yeah, when Yayo was locked up, every G-Unit show, we actually put aside the money.
Bro, I told
for him,
you,
and he had like Yayo had like $1 million.
Right. I just told you when I came out of my building, I see the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
There was no way I was getting shot there. And this is what I kind of tell you is like, when we was talking about stacks with the Porsche, 50's not going to let you say, get the Porsche. He going to say, let's get him out the hood first. You know, if the money's there, but the money has to be there for you to live like that. The money's there. 50 didn't have to do that. Rest in peace to Hervé from Interscope, because he always said to me, man, 50 do more for you than any artist, than anybody does for their artists. More.
Over time, insiders have suggested that the once strong relationship between Jay-Z and Diddy started to weaken, with fractures forming around trust and increasing uncertainty about who would ultimately look out for their own interests if things took a turn. Some have gone even further, claiming that Jay-Z may have had a discreet role behind the scenes in Diddy's downfall, an allegation publicly voiced by Jaguar Wright but never proven. Regardless of whether it is true, the speculation underscores a tougher reality at the highest levels of power, where alliances are often conditional, loyalty can be fragile, and power dynamics can change suddenly, transforming long-standing partnerships into strategic face-offs almost overnight.
Cameron.
Yeah.
He made a statement recently. He said that Jay-Z loves money more than hip-hop. And he pointed out that Jay-Z performed at Tom Brady's Hall of Fame ceremony, but he didn't perform in any Hip-Hop 50 events.
I mean, Jay-Z's on a whole nother level. Like, I mean, you know, he's like, but you know what I like about 50? 50's on a whole nother level, but he's still approachable. You still get to meet the people and you know, Jay got to remember the people that made him. You know, I'm not saying I don't got respect. I respect Jay-Z, 50, used to respect, you know, Diddy, but all that crazy shit going on. But, you know, I always respected him because I looked at, for New York, those were like the guys. You know what I'm saying? The guys with the most money and the most influence. So with Jay is like, when the last time you haven't seen Jay. So I think people are just going to say that. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I mean, Jay, you know, you got to remember, he didn't want 50 at the Super Bowl. That was crazy. I'm like,
wait, Jay didn't want 50 at the Super Bowl?
Know that? Yeah, he didn't want.
I remember Eminem pushed for it.
That was some hater shit. Yeah,
I remember Eminem was like, I'm not going to do it unless 50 does it. I heard that.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that Jay was trying to stop it.
I don't think Jay. I don't know. 50 never told me that, but I don't think Jay wanted him there. I don't know.
Because of what? Some of the.
I mean, you know, it's competition. You got to think. 50 always been competition for Jay. Remember, I'm about $1. What the fuck is 50 Cent?
That was a long time ago.
That was what, 9? What was that? 9?
But after that, they did a song together. Remember the whole,
of course, but 50 was always competition for niggas. Then remember Jay said, yo, 50's coming. He told Siegel and them and Memphis Bleak and all them.
Yeah.
And come on, 50's like, he's on a whole nother level. You got to remember, he came after niggas. He came after Jay and Rockefeller. G-Unit came. And people might shit on G-Unit, but with Eminem, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, nobody has out.
Roger Bonds, Diddy's former head of security, offered an insider perspective that adds complexity to the story, noting that while he observed Jay-Z and Diddy interacting, he never considered their relationship truly close. Roger said Diddy seemed to overestimate the strength of the connection, highlighting a gap between perception and reality. His account illustrates how at the top levels of influence, outward familiarity can be mistaken for loyalty, and carefully curated appearances often hide much greater distance than the public realizes. Other insiders from Diddy's circle have repeatedly pointed out a clear imbalance, noting that Diddy consistently supported Jay-Z in ways rarely reciprocated. Behind the scenes, this created a dynamic of uneven loyalty, where effort flowed strongly one way while return commitment remained limited, reinforcing how alliances at the highest levels can appear solid publicly yet privately reveal a lopsided structure with assumed but unequally shared commitment.
Says to people, he goes into boardrooms and says to people, which I will never say, is he says, it's important for me to be a billionaire, because Black people need to be billionaires. And why does specifically he, at that time, I've had this conversation with white money people when they go, it's important that Jay-Z becomes a billionaire. And I go, why? And they said, because he wants to open up a casino. He wants to open up this, he should have an alcoholic brand. He needs to have a casino. He needs to have this. And you're like, why the fuck does anybody need a casino? Like another fucking casino
prints money
in this
all
world.
day, and it makes it very possible for people to launder money all day.
Yeah. So like, why, even the fact that you want to become so powerful, then you're not saying because he needs to build schools for Black people in Black neighborhoods. It's because he wanted to build casinos for Black people.
For them to keep wasting their money, and then for him to keep getting them overpriced merchandise. It's a rat trap.
Yeah.
All of it is. The sad part is that hip hop has now turned itself over to this greed machine and doesn't realize.
He says in meetings, he tells people, which I would never say myself, that it's important for him to become a billionaire, arguing that Black people need billionaires. At the time, he had this conversation with wealthy white investors who agreed, saying Jay-Z should become a billionaire because he wanted to open a casino, launch an alcoholic brand, and pursue other ventures. The reaction is, why does anyone need another casino, especially one that makes it easy to launder money? The goal wasn't about building schools or supporting Black communities, it was about creating ways for people to spend money while he profited from overpriced products. It's a setup, a rat trap, and the sad reality is that hip-hop has increasingly aligned with this kind of greed, often without recognizing it. From this perspective, Jay-Z and Diddy were never connected by the deep loyalty the public imagined, they simply moved in the same elite circles, sharing success, access, and influence without a solid foundation. Over time, the lack of genuine allegiance became clearer, and the distance beneath the surface grew. Now, with these events unfolding publicly, those long-hidden fractures are impossible to ignore, leaving open the question of whether the widening divide will keep growing and eventually affect them both. Let us know your thoughts in the comments.